South Hops, which is being performed at the Mount Olive College this Monday night at 7:30. And join us, too. We'll also give away another dozen delicious glazed donuts. And the WGBR's Carolina's Turkey Shoot continues all tomorrow morning on the WGBR Morning Show with local news director Thomas Vick as well. Hear what everybody's talking about on 1150 WGBR.
Well, we'll see plenty of cloud cover across the area on through the afternoon hours, along with some patchy light rain developing from the south and west. We'll have high temperatures covering a big range from around 54 up toward Roxborough to, say, 64 down toward Clinton. Tonight, we'll have a good chance of rain and maybe a thunder shower, all that diminishing toward tomorrow morning as lows drop into the low to mid-50s, and then a mixture of clouds and some sunshine for Saturday. It'll be breezy and mild tomorrow, highs about 66 to 71. I'm Mike Moss at the North Carolina News Network Weather Center.
Welcome to all who have dared tune in today. Some of you, no doubt, closing the doors, maybe even cowering in the darkness of your closet to listen to this program. But you don't want to be accused of tuning into hate radio, so you listen in private. You're in your car, your windows are rolled up, despite the fact that you'll probably be uproariously laughing during the course of the day. People will be wondering what you're laughing at. No, they won't. They'll be listening, too. Don't ignore it, my friends. Be proud.
Live from New York, it's Open Line Friday.
Be proud of what you listen to. Be proud to stand up for what you listen to. Don't let them beat you down with all of these personal assaults. You can withstand it. How do I know? Because I have withstood it. They use my name half the time. 1-800-282-2882 if you'd like to be on the program. Open Line Friday. Means that callers are granted a little bit more latitude and leeway in what we discuss, although we've had enough venting about Arlington National Cemetery. Had enough. We've got 2 straight days of people calling and expressing their outrage over it. And as I said yesterday, I think it would be wise to wait to see if there's actually anything to this before you just assume that it's all true and is the result of a cover-up. This is going to be something very, very difficult to lie about, ladies and gentlemen. So we just patience, and we'll all be rewarded, I think, one way or the other. Now, there is new information about this, and we'll pass along to you here in our Heaven's Gate update. And our brand new theme song, heard exclusively here on the EIB network, furnished by Paul Silhans, called Honor to Buy. To take off on Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky. Rush at EIB.
Well, I die and they lay me to rest, even though there's no stars on my chest. I didn't serve and don't qualify. Gonna get me an honor I can buy. Oh, gonna get me an honor I can buy. I'm a big donor, yeah, that's why. So put the fix in with Togo West. So I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Prepare yourself, big bucks are a must, but you'll have a friend in the White House. Then you'll know that when you die, Bill will recommend you for that honor you can buy. Oh, he'll recommend you for that honor you can buy, while the deserving are passed on by. When you die and they lay you to rest, you're gonna be with the bravest and the best.
I got a little riff coming up here, my friends, on the politics of hate. The White House, the House of all peoples, has described radio in America as hate. We'll discuss hate and who really hates, how they define it, all coming up on the EIB network.
Well, I'm a winner. I bought my way in. You thought you'd seen the worst of season. The Lincoln bedroom thing was pretty mild compared to recommending you for an honor you can buy. Yeah, to recommend you for an honor you can buy. Does it surprise you? I wonder why. And after all, we know he's the best at putting shamelessness to the test. Shamelessness to the test.
1969 was the original year, I believe. Might have been 60. I think it was 69 for Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky, remade for this program by Paul Silhan, Honor You Can Buy. Here's the latest. There have been some research done on Larry Lawrence. Just who is he? Well, in addition to what we've known, that he's a big Democratic contributor over the years, in excess of $10 million over the last 40 years, couple $100,000 to the Clinton-Gore campaign in '92. He also was a close friend of the Clintons, offering his home in the San Diego area when Clinton toured there during his first presidential term. So in that sense, Larry Lawrence fits the profile of what people are suspicious that might be going on, selling of burial plots at Arlington to big-time donors. However, the White House is getting angry about this, and they're putting out some biographical information on Larry Lawrence. Mike McCurry claims that Larry Lawrence secured his right to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery by dying while serving as ambassador to Switzerland and by doing hazardous duty in the Merchant Marine in World War II. And in fact, he was on a Merchant Marine ship which was hit during World War II. He was injured. And he got this in a story in the New York Post today by Brian Blomquist, he got a medal from the Russians in World War II. I don't know when he got it, but he got a medal awarded by the Russians. And it's been said that had he been a member of the Navy and gotten the similar action and injuries, that he might have gotten a Purple Heart. But because he was in the Merchant Marine, he didn't get Purple Heart. All that may be true, and if it is, I don't even want to quibble with it. Let's just say it's true. The fact of the matter is, though, that there are thousands of others. This is the point about Arlington National Cemetery. There are thousands of others over the course of the history of this nation who have the same resume, if you will, as Larry Lawrence. There are Marines. There are members of the armed forces who have won Bronze Stars in combat, and they're not eligible to be at Arlington National Cemetery. And Larry Lawrence is there. And the thing that's different about Larry Lawrence than all the others who have suffered similar injuries is his close ties with the president and the amount of money he's given to the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton-Gore campaigns over the course of the year. By the way, his wife was also appointed to a government position in Switzerland when he was named ambassador to Switzerland. His wife was appointed the special U.S. representative of the World Conservative Union in Geneva. I have no idea what that is, but I'll guarantee you it had nothing to do with conservatives. So that's the latest on Larry Lawrence, and as I say, the point is that there are millions of others, thousands of others, who would qualify on the same basis that Larry Lawrence did. But there is a difference, and that is his contributions and close ties to the president. Now, Togo West and others who have purview over this say they had no idea. They didn't anything in this. They have no idea about his political associations or ties with the president and so forth. They are denying this at the highest levels. And I want to let you hear, I'm sure you've heard a little soundbite from McCurry his little hate radio soundbite and all that. We have the whole thing, not just the 5-second clip that you've heard on the network newscasts. And the question that he's answering here was asked about Senator Specter. And Senator Specter has sent a letter to the president asking for a personal denial. Senator Specter is apparently not satisfied with the denial that Lanny Davis put out. Could you comment, Mr. McCurry? Here was what he said.
Look, I want to make a point about this story. We sit around and have journalism conferences from time to time and talk about things like this. This is a story that appeared largely uncorroborated with anonymous sources in a conservative right-wing publication. It was picked up on the hate radio talk circuit and inflamed yesterday. And now we're sitting here talking about with an article that, as near as everyone can say, and this has been said now by the Army and said by the White House, has no basis in fact, and we're treating it as if it has some legitimacy. And we've got members of Congress reacting to the same phenomenon and treating it with a degree of legitimacy it probably doesn't need to have attached to it. So I'm not a little concerned that sitting here and denying or clarifying or amplifying treats the absurd as something that is worthy of comment, and I don't know that I want to do that.
Now, he went on and was asked, we don't know by who, it's a female reporter, and the quality of this is not the best. So let me tell you what the question is. That you'll hear it on the tape, but I want to tell you what it is. He's asked, Mike, a little while ago you referred to these questions about the cemetery being put on hate radio. Were you referring to Rush Limbaugh? Or what were you referring to? He was pointedly asked this question in the press conference yesterday. No network has shown this. We want you to hear it.
Mike, a little while ago you referred to these questions about the cemetery being put on hate radio. What were you referring to Rush Limbaugh, or what were you referring to?
It was apparently on a number of talk radios yesterday, if I judge from news accounts correctly.
What you meant by hate radio, who you
I think they know who they are.
I think they know who they are. See, he's content. Did you notice there that McCurry never mentioned a name? It's a member of the press. Are you talking about Rush Limbaugh? That's sad to say this, don't mean to be insulting to other talk radio colleagues here, but whenever the White House denigrates talk radio with any terms such as hate radio, the press all knows who they mean. Because the president has mentioned my name on several previous occasions in a derogatory way. So they all assume he's talking about me, and that's how the word gets out that it's me they're referring to, and they don't even have to say it. I have to take a break here. We come back. I want to talk about this whole business of hate. Not just hate radio, but hate. And because I'm getting email from liberals who are defining how it is I hate. And it caused a light bulb to go off in my head. That's another code word. Hate is just a code word for anybody who disagrees with a liberal. It's how they fit conservatives into their stereotype of hate monger, racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe, that litany. It's just another code word for them. And because the mainstream press furthers that notion, it's allowed to settle in people's minds, people who don't take the time to listen to my program or others. So I got to do a little bit of this riff after the breaks. And we got more examples from McCurry. I want to take you back to the White House Correspondents, or Radio TV Correspondents' Dinner in March of 1996. Let you hear a couple of questions. Our man in Washington actually got to McCurry, asked him a couple of questions, let you hear the answers to refresh your memory. Don't go away. Be right back on Open Line Friday.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
For years, my good friends, there have been groups of educators claiming that you can actually increase your child's IQ by developing solid reading skills when they're young. Well, now there's a great way to help your kids make it to the top. It's called the phonics game. Success in school begins with better reading, and you can give your child a major advantage by starting them with the phonics game today. In fact, my brother and niece love the phonics game. They're thrilled with the results. She's having a great time improving her skills, and my brother sings this thing's praises every time I talk to him. For young children, the phonics game develops superior reading skills, and there's even a game for older kids and teenagers. It'll improve their reading, spelling, and comprehension. On top of all that, it's fun. Now, don't just take my word for it. Try the phonics game yourself. Call today. The phone number is 1-800-243-READ. That's 800-243-READ. One more time, 1-800-243-READ. You got to get the phonics game for you and your kids.
Hi, honey. How was your day?
Well, dear, worked a full day, picked up the groceries, picked up the kids, got them to soccer, picked up the dry cleaning, made iced tea, started dinner, weeded the garden.
Iced tea? I'm so impressed.
The Iced Teapot from Mr. Coffee. Fresh brewed iced tea in less time than it takes to boil water. The perfect gift for people who love iced tea but don't have time for the hassle.
Oh, and rotated the tires on the van.
Wow! Great tea!
The Iced Teapot by Mr. Coffee.
Introducing the world's first termite colony elimination system, Centricon by Dow&Co. The revolutionary system that both monitors and baits to not only eliminate subterranean termites where they live, but acts like a termite alarm to ensure they never live there again. The Centricon colony elimination system is available only through an authorized pest control operator trained by Dow&Co. In the eastern North Carolina area, call Griffin Exterminating Company Incorporated at 735-3928 for more information. Griffin Exterminating, your pest doctor. All their patients die.
At Leith of Goldsboro, it's true. Price sells cars, and now during the month of November, you can't beat the savings at Leith of Goldsboro. Get any 1997 Chrysler, Plymouth, Jeep, Eagle, Dodge, or Isuzu in stock for just $97 over invoice, and you keep any rebates. Leith is also giving away with each test drive a free Carolina Panther poster. And ask about the free U.S. cellular phone with your purchase. Just $97 over invoice on every 1997 model in stock at Leith of Goldsboro. Be sure to register for the free Carolina Panther football tickets from Leith of Goldsboro. Now more than ever, it's true. Price sells cars at Leith of Goldsboro. How would you like to surprise your office staff or maybe your co-workers? You can with delicious Krispy Kreme donuts, bagels, and coffee in the WGBR coffee break. It's easy to do. Just get a piece of your company letterhead, say that you would like to have a WGBR coffee break. Make sure to include a phone number and contact person and how many people are in your office, place of business, or organization. Then fax the letterhead to WGBR at 736-3876. That's 736-3876. Or send it to the WGBR Coffee Break at 914 West Grantham Street, Goldsboro, 27530. Then be listening at 8:30 a.m. to the WGBR Morning Show on Mondays for the winner of the WGBR Coffee Break, courtesy of Krispy Kreme Donuts and 1150 WGBR. You can have delicious donuts, bagels, and coffee delivered to your place of business every Monday morning from Krispy Kreme Donuts and WGBR.
Latter-day Saints.
And back we are on Open Line Friday. This, the Rush Limbaugh program. Happy to have you along, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Mike McCurry and Hate Radio and his desire that that be translated by others as defining me, Rush Limbaugh. McCurry and almost every liberal that is active in these sorts of matters defines hate as anyone who disagrees with them. Now, there's nothing more hateful than attempting to demonize free speech, free and robust speech. And that, my friends, is what's going on here. The Clintonoids tried this tactic after the Oklahoma bombing tragedy. They tried blaming that on me. And it fell flat then because, remember the fireman that was pictured on the cover of Time holding the baby? The fireman called our affiliate in Seattle. He was on the air there. He was asked about it. They said, no, our fire shop, firehouse listens to Rush every day. The rescuers listen to this program, not the militia. The militia hates me. I don't believe what they believe. They think I'm a traitor. But the Clintons and liberals in this country, panicked by the substance of issues, are always looking for political opportunities, and they have no compunction about trying to exploit horrible tragedies or hallowed ground for their own personal benefit. Now, talking about hate, remember that it was vice perpetrator Al Gore who accused Republicans of leading a jihad against the health and safety of Americans. Remember, Republicans wanted to kill people. They were going to kill more people and make people sick simply because they sought to bring some common sense to our environmental policies. That's hate. Starving children, kicking the elderly out of their homes, that's hate. Not only is that hate, that's fear-mongering. Democrat members of Congress called Republicans Nazi-like because they sought to bring reform to the welfare morass. Dick Gephardt accused the Republicans of trying to take food from poor school children because the Republicans wanted the states to run the school lunch program. Clinton, my friends, is the hate-monger in chief. He goes out, creates a race commission that is intent on rekindling the fires of racial division. Talk about somebody who's on the wrong side of it, too. I'm sure by now you've heard of the settlement in the Piscataway, New Jersey case that was to be decided by the Supreme Court. The civil rights community banded together, got 70% of the money together to propose a settlement to the white litigant in this case, school teacher who was wrong. They don't want the court deciding on this case. They don't want an official finding from the court that affirmative action has become race-based preferences. They're scared to death. The affirmative action, race-based preferences are a thing of history in this country in terms of legality, and Clinton and his guys know it. So they've convened this commission on race that they're only allowing pro-affirmative action people to participate. My friends, during our history, we've had the great emancipator, which was Abe Lincoln. We've had the great communicator, Ronald Reagan. Now we have the great divider, if you ask me. The president and liberals in this country pit groups of people against one another. They further the notion that what politics is all about is who gets what, and that they, the liberals, are in charge of distributing who gets what, and that anybody who opposes their decisions is filled with hate. He pits white against black. He pits the young against the old. He pits the poor against the rich. He pits the gay against the straight, the civilian against the military, and labor against management. I think what we have out of this administration is the politics of hate. It's the politics of division. The politics of driving wedges between groups of people. This is the politics of a president who is, in fact, irrelevant, and that will be his pathetic legacy. And you have to wonder about McCurry. Doesn't he ever wonder how he came to be the willing mouthpiece of a thoroughly corrupt administration? How does he not tire of defending the indefensible? How does he sleep at night? What must he go to bed at night trying to forget every day in order to get up the next day and do his job without a conscience? It's just amazing to me. I got mail. I have a lot of email from people, and you ought to see these definitions of hate. Every one of these definitions of hate can be boiled down to you disagree with this, you disagree with that, you disagree with this. So to liberals, disagreeing, they love free speech as long as you're saying things they agree with. Otherwise, you're spreading hate. It's an old tactic. They've used it consistently, and it works. It works on the minds of those who don't pay a whole lot of attention to things. In the case of this show, people who don't listen to this program will hear these comments. Limbaugh, he's full of hate, he did all this. And it will just, they'll assume that this program is a hate show and that they won't ever tune in to find out the difference. They'll call C-SPAN or they'll call other shows and talk about all the hate that's on this program, with never having listened to it. Even Tim Russert has told me that he has friends. He hasn't named names, but you can imagine the circle of friends who say the same thing. And he asks them, have you ever listened to the program? No. He gets a little grief whenever he has me on one of his programs. He finds it amazing, as do a lot of people, that all of these critics, all these people who say that this program's filled with hate are people who've never bothered to listen to it. Or, worse than that, they have bothered to listen to it, and they are so frightened by the truth that they hear on this program that they have to do anything they can to discredit it, and they've learned quickly that one of the best ways to do that is to attach some label to it, and hate is the one that's in vogue today. You look at real hate in this country, and you'll find it in this administration. Politics of division, fear-mongering, trying to tell people Republicans want to kill them with environmental policies. That isn't hate. I need to have it redefined. Phone Folks, you are not going to believe this. Now, you've heard me talk about this incredible snappy video snapshot from the scientists at Play Incorporated. It's the amazing gizmo that puts pictures of anything into your computer. Well, now they've invented a new Snappy. It's even better. The quality of these new pictures is literally stunning. And with a price of just $99, now everyone can afford to get Snappy. If you have a PC, this is the one add-on you must own. See the new Snappy today at your computer store. You will not believe your eyes.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
It's time for a look at local news. I'm Thomas Vick on 1150 WGBR. Good news for Thanksgiving travelers. AAA says the average price per gallon of gas is down 3 cents. The average price expected to be $1.15 per gallon of regular self-serve unleaded through December 1st. This price is 5 cents cheaper than last year. AAA says gas prices may increase slightly after December 1st through Christmas. In Duplin County, Rodriguez Ferguson has been convicted of killing 5 people during a shooting rampage on New Year's Eve 3 years ago. The jury has yet to decide if Ferguson should be executed for the attack or spend the rest of his life in prison. Wayne County Commissioner Dr. John Tart yesterday announced his plans to retire as president of Johnston Community College. Tart made the announcement yesterday during an assembly of the school staff in the teachers' auditorium at the college. The announcement comes 2 months after a state auditor's report accused the college of questionable financial practices. Tart was not available for comment. Tart has served as the school's president for 28 years. He's expected to stay at the college through next August. Wayne County has received additional highway project funds from the state. Department of Transportation officials say an estimated $3.9 million has been approved for road resurfacing projects throughout the county. Revitalization is the word for downtown Goldsboro. The excitement continues as department heads of the Downtown Goldsboro Development Commission have received word of a financial boost for restoration of the area. 8 local banks have agreed to create a loan pool worth about $2 million to encourage the work. Money from the pool can be borrowed at lower than usual interest rates for qualified projects. Development Director Meg Klutz said those interested in using the loan pool can call a commercial lender at any of the banks. Representatives from the United States Department of Commerce's Census Bureau will visit Wayne County again next week. Regional Director Susan Hardy says members of local households will be asked to provide employment and other workforce information related to income and earnings. The information gathered will be used to compile a national report of the nation's labor force. Hardy says Census Bureau interviewers carry an official identification card with their photograph and signature, and citizens should be sure to ask for it. That's a look at local news. I'm Thomas Vick on 1150 WGBR.
Well, it looks like we'll continue with mostly cloudy skies across the area on through the afternoon hours with some patchy rain spreading in from the south and west. We'll have high temperatures this afternoon ranging from around 54 up in northwest sections to 64 toward the southeast. Then a good chance of rain tonight. Might even see a thunder shower in a few spots. All of that activity should taper off toward tomorrow morning as lows drop into the low to mid 50s. Then a mixture of clouds and sun on the way for Saturday. Breezy and mild tomorrow with highs around 66 to 71. I'm Mike Moss at the Weather Center.
Performing my job with flawless broadcast excellence, this is Rush Limbaugh on WGBR. Back we are on Open Line Friday. Rush Limbaugh at 1-800-282-2882. I want you to hear something that happened about a half hour ago on CNN. In their noon newscast, their anchor asked a congressional reporter or White House, I guess he's congressional reporter. Well, he was the congressional reporter. Bob Franken is his name. And the anchor asked him, look, Bob, what is this all about? Where did this get started? And here is Bob Franken's answer.
Well, first of all, the source, Mike McCurry calls it hate radio. I think probably the description that more people would prefer is talk radio. What happened was a conservative publication, a Washington Times magazine, the Washington Times is very unfriendly to the Clinton administration, has an upcoming story in which it makes the charges that you outlined. It was picked up by Rush Limbaugh on the talk show circuit, and it was causing an uproar that caused it to be paid attention to by establishment media like us. Now, this outrages the White House, but the people in the media feel that they have no choice except to report a story when it is causing quite an uproar. The problem, Sonia, is that oftentimes the sources of the story themselves are unreliable. I'm speaking specifically about the talk show circuit. They are not bound by the usual rules of ethics where you have to check your facts. They're really out there for entertainment, but they can cause an uproar that then turns it into a news story. As I said,
all right, that's enough. That's enough. That's what I want to comment on. That talk radio is not bound by the ethics of journalism, is what he's saying. Talk radio hosts don't have to check their sources. There is a source here. The source is Insight Magazine. Over the history of recent years, Insight Magazine has not been accused of publishing balderdash. They've not been accused of making things up. Their sourcing has not been questioned. Only the fact that they are conservative has been questioned. When I did this program yesterday and recounted all that we knew, I read letters to you from Togo West. I read letters to you from Sarah Lister. I read letters to you that were written by members of Congress. On this program, I have warned all of you to be very careful in believing this before you actually have conclusive proof. You do have a story here with unnamed sources. And I said yesterday, I've been amazed at the number of people who have there's no question that this is true. They've accepted it's true, and they're reacting as though it's true. And I sought to explain why. It's because of previous examples with this administration, particularly in the area of campaign finance reform. I think it's totally understandable that people would have a tendency to believe this, whereas with other presidents, Reagan, Ford, Carter, Truman, Nixon, LBJ, JFK, something like this would come up, and you'd immediately reject it. There was no history in their administrations of things like this, in terms of the pursuit of dollars and cash. And as a caller yesterday said, and it's well worth reminding Mr. Franken of here on this occasion, how about the October surprise? In the 1992 presidential campaign, there was a book written by a person considered to be a reputable source, Gary Sick, a professor of something at Columbia or some university, and he claimed to have irrefutable proof that George Bush had participated in a scheme to make sure the Iranians held Americans hostage after the 1980 election so as to continue to make it look bad for Carter and weaken his re-election chances. There was not one shred of evidence to suggest it. Congress had looked into it previously. Tom Foley had said that precisely because there is no evidence, we must look into it. These are serious allegations. Once again, proving my point about liberals, the substance of the evidence doesn't make any sense, doesn't make any difference. It's the seriousness of the charge. That's what did in Clarence Thomas. Hey, she didn't have any evidence either. It was the seriousness of the charge that made liberals want to look into it. These are serious charges. We must deal with it. Somebody comes out with this charge that Bush is an SR-71 flying to Paris to meet with the Iranians. No evidence whatsoever. And they admit there's no evidence, and they say, seriousness of the charge is such, we've got to look into it. And I don't recall the press being dragged kicking and screaming to that story. I recall the press leading with that story. I recall network news programs devoting entire half hours to the possibility. In some cases, 5 days before the presidential election in 1992, after the thing had long been put to bed and Gary Sick had been discredited. So the point is that it matters who says what. It matters to the press who's saying it. Off the bat, because it's Insight Magazine, their initial reaction, despite the substance of the article, is to discredit it because they're conservative. And Gary Sick wasn't conservative. Gary Sick was a history professor. He was an elitist, an Ivy League professor. He was a pointy-headed intellectual. He wouldn't stake his reputation on such things. And look, and if people ran with this, they couldn't get enough of it, the mainstream press. They weren't dragged kicking and screaming to it at all, which means that there is a bias going in. And talk radio is just a convenient excuse. They have established in as many minds as they can the idea that talk radio has no substance, has no credibility, has no credence. and that therefore anything that occurs there is automatically irrelevant, wrong, or discreditable. And that's what we fight on this program. We're like everybody else in the media. We want to grow our audience. We want it to become large and all that. The nature of this business, one of the many ways you define success. We're up there against a machine called the mainstream press, which is jealous of us anyway because we generate response immediately. We do, in many cases, the job they used to do. We look into things they will ignore. And we've got the White House in this particular time frame on the same side as the mainstream press. I mean, it's a huge, huge battle every day to fight these people. And when I say fight these people, I'm talking about in terms of reputation and credibility. I mean, it's an all-out daily assault. Now, some have tired of it and have dropped the subject and moved on to other things, but we haven't. I haven't, simply because I'm always going to talk about what interests me on this program. But there are tremendous similarities here. And I would suggest that there's more evidence in this case and more reason to be suspicious in this case than there ever was in the October surprise. Yet the October surprise was treated as gospel, very serious, we must look into this. This thing is being discarded, laughed at, and impugned from the get-go. Now, I know it isn't news, the press is biased, and I'm not trying to tell you anything you don't already know. I'm simply trying to explain to you why and how this stuff all happens. I have always been concerned, too. We have the largest audience in talk radio history. We've got, depending on the radio rating, we got 19 to 22 million people a week that listen to this program, and I'm going to tell you something. Whenever this program's host is denigrated, so are its listeners. It's not just me, my friends. It's hate. I mean, this wouldn't be hate radio without you calling up and spewing your hate. Now, you can ask Mr. Snerdley, and many of you out there know it. We could have plenty of hate on this show. I'm not denying there's not hate on the radio, but it ain't here. We keep it off of this program. Believe me, it tries every day to get on the air here. I read it in my mail. And not just the hate directed at me. I'm talking about, we got some people out there who literally do hate. And they can't wait to get on this program and vent. When we identify it, we don't let them on precisely because that's not the kind of show I want to preside over. Yet, the impression out there is, amongst people who are ignorant and don't know, is that's what precisely happens here, when it doesn't. But we know that you who do listen regularly know the truth, and for the most part are not daunted by any of this hysteria and any of these tirades and rants that come from the administration and the mainstream press. Time to take a break. When we come back, we'll go to the phones. On Open Line Friday, the number is 800-282-2882. Stay right where you are.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Are you fed up with the limited choices of National Football League games you have every Sunday? There's a solution, my friends. It's called DirecTV and the NFL Sunday Ticket. With both, you can choose up to 13 different games each and every Sunday in the regular season. And there's even more sports with DirecTV. Get all the basketball you want, all the hockey. With NBA League Pass and NHL Center Ice, there are dozens of options every week. And DirecTV has packages for Major League Baseball, college football, and basketball, and a wide range of specialty sports, from the Golf Channel to ESPN and Speed Vision. There's even more. I mean, what more can you want? DirecTV is a bonanza, a must-have for sports enthusiasts. So check it out. Get a demo at Best Buy today or Circuit City, or call 800-903-4388. Find out why DirecTV is satellite TV at its best. That number again is 800-903-4388. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Hardware and programming sold separately. Equipment specifications may vary in Alaska. You can't go wrong, sports fans. DirecTV is your answer.
NADA at Deacon Jones Lincoln Mercury in Goldsboro still means not another dealer around, but Deacon Jones in Goldsboro has over 30 pre-owned SUVs and trucks, from Explorer to Blazer, from Expedition to Tahoe and Suburban. Not another dealer around, but Deacon Jones has over 40 pre-owned and programmed cars priced below the other NADA. Yep, not another dealer around but Deacon Jones Lincoln Mercury, Highway 70 bypass at Wayne Memorial Drive in Goldsboro.
Do you need to replace your inefficient heating system with a high-quality gas pack or heat pump? Then call New Hope Heating and Air, your Rheem dealer. Rheem heating and air units are tough and can take years of just about anything. To replace your inefficient air or heating system, just call New Hope Heating and Air, your Rheem dealer, and start enjoying the air of quality you get from a quiet Rheem heating, air conditioning, or heat pump unit. It's easy to get a Rheem unit for your home. Just call New Hope Heating and Air, a CP&L quality heat pump dealer, 778-3804.
You can help people right here at home when you give to the United Way of Wayne County. United Way funds help to support 16 different agencies that work hard to improve the lives of your friends, neighbors, and relatives. Your donation to the United Way helps with emergency relief, basic needs, nutrition for the elderly, family and youth programs, and a variety of other community services. Because of you, good things happen. Give to the United Way of Wayne County.
Hi, this is David Essel, and I'm inviting you to tune into my show, David Essel Alive, where you can find the latest in physical fitness, stress programs, and relationship counseling. I'll be glad to take your calls because we have an open forum. My number is toll-free, 1-800-743-8000. Please give me a call so we can talk about you. David Essel Alive on weekends starting at 10 p.m. Hear what everyone's talking about on AM 1150 WGBR.
WGBR.
Sean in Oshkosh, Colorado.
Rush.
Is it Oshkosh, Colorado?
No, Hotchkiss.
Hotchkiss.
You got it.
Hotchkiss, okay. Thanks very much.
Megadittos from Hotchkiss, Colorado.
Thank you.
Listen, I was listening to you earlier, and I was listening to your comment on President Clinton and his playing one person or one group against another group. And I was thinking that, you know, they're so concerned about the terrorist groups that are out there and the militia groups. And here we have, and this upsets me very much, the President of the United States putting one group against another. Eventually, Rush, what this will lead to in this country, what I believe, is a total amount of confusion and anger amongst the groups where we won't be able to go out and do things without being paranoid.
I don't follow you at all.
Well, what he's doing is what you said earlier in your statement, is he's placing one group against another group. He's making the blacks worried about the whites and the whites worried about the blacks and vice versa. What he's doing is he's playing one group against the other. So a house divided against itself can't stand. This nation, as a nation, if we keep thinking about each other and worrying about each other as far as the different races, we won't be able to stand as a nation together. It's a very dangerous thing what he's doing. What he's doing is he's basically making each one of each group.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, we've already got two nations, and that's what this this business that turned last Sunday out of New Orleans, where you can't have a school named after George Washington because he owned slaves. I mean, we've got two Americas in many ways. But, you know, here's the problem that the president has. He's a Democrat, and the Democrats are promoting the group identity rather than individual identity. The Democratic Party has, over the years, been an alliance, if you will, or a coalition of all sorts of groups. And that is why in the 80s, during the successful years of Reagan, they were perceived, it was I think, an accurate perception of people, that they were devoted to special interest politics. They said, we'll do this for this group, we'll do this for that group, and they have therefore taken their allies and said, only as a member of a group do you count with us. As Robert Novak wrote in a column lately, or recently, the Democrats now, we know there's no new Democrats, and there's no such thing as a new Democrat with the fast-track vote, because the big labor coalitions won and successfully got Democrats in the House to vote against a so-called new Democrat president. Now, what does Dick Gephardt have to do? Dick Gephardt, in order to get this nomination, has got to go out there in a prosperous economy and tell people that they're not prosperous. The Democrats must see people as losers in life. They are victims, and you're a victim because you're a member of a group. And they have to go out and convince as many people that they're actually losers, that they're actually victims, And by so doing, they position themselves as the savior of the groups. And if you look at all the groups which have invested time, money, and votes in the Democratic Party, at some point they should ask themselves, just what have we gotten for this? 90% black turnout, black vote for Democratic presidential candidates every year. What have they gotten for it? Their leaders are still as angry, still as upset, still claiming that they're losing ground, and yet the people they're voting for, basically for 40 years, ran the show in the House of Representatives. They've had the White House for the last 5 years. Well, it will be 5 years in a couple weeks, months. And yet they continue to complain. And the reason for it is that the government cannot provide for people. It can't provide for individuals in a prosperous way, much less can it provide for groups. So if you as an individual decide your only route to happiness or prosperity is by aligning yourself with some group that's angry about something, you're going to continue to be angry because the whole concept of you being placated and made happy by government is impossible. Nations all over the world, throughout the history of the world, have fallen and have failed in an attempt to implement that practice. So Democrats precisely are the politics of group, politics of victimization. And in order to make somebody a victim, you've got to create a villain. And in creating the villain, you concoct the recipe for hate, imaginary, though it most likely is in most cases. And so there's no question this country is being divided by liberal Democrat politics. The liberals themselves facilitate the divisions. Political correctness is nothing more than division based on who can say what, and it's defined by who can say what as, do you agree with me when you say it? And if you do, fine, continue to say it. If you don't agree with me when you say something, and I'm going to say you're a hate monger, and I'm going to do my best to get you shut up. So I think it's already happened. To what extent it's being successful in electoral politics, it's not. In local elections, gubernatorial elections, congressional elections, but it is on a national basis. If you look at the presidential election as an indicator. Irene in Durham, New Hampshire. Hello, welcome to the EIB network. You are next on Open Line Friday.
Yes, Rush, I've listened to you for a long time, but I have to tell you, I have never agreed with you more than I agreed with your monologue this morning. It was fantastic. Now, I had heard about the Arlington Cemetery, and that was before I heard it on your news. And the Boston Globe has a long article on it. And I was very pleased that you gave this little piece about Bob Franken, because I have listened to him on CNN for a long, long time, and I have never heard anybody as biased as he does. When he's on that question and answer time on a Saturday morning, if somebody calls in with a conservative question, he always says, oh, it must be from a Republican, or it must be from a conservative, and he always gives it a little twist like it's got no value whatsoever. But I